And we'll give a chance for folks to just decide where they want to go and trickle in. But it's good to see all your faces. Thumbs up. How are you feeling? Sideways, down? How's everyone doing? I know it's really hot here in California. I hope you're all staying cool. We'll just let folks trickle in as they do, and we'll get started in about a minute. Welcome in, welcome in. We're just letting folks settle in and choose where they like to go. It looks like we're getting a lot of folks coming in, see some familiar faces. We are recording this session for folks to take a look back afterward as well. All right. So as folks are trickling in, I'm going to go ahead and get us started. Thank you all for hopping into our room, our discussion about resource and kinship families. It is my honor to introduce you to my co-host. Her name is Ilyana. You've already seen her. You've heard from her. And she's been a part of A Greater Hope for the past 4 years, serving as a kinship case manager for families across the high desert here in California. In her role, she supports caregivers who are raising their relatives, offering guidance, connection, and a compassionate presence for multi-generational families, navigating complex transitions. She provides a deeply strength-based approach, honoring each family's resilience while helping them access meaningful resources and support. And through her work, Ilyana facilitates art workshops designed to bring kinship caregivers and families together, creating space for collaboration, emotional expression, and empowerment. And her workshops really emphasize belonging, healing, and shared experiences, allowing families to feel seen and supported in communities. So with that, I welcome Ilyana to our fabulous Q&A. And Ilyana, I want to start off with a question. If you don't mind us telling us a little bit about how you became acquainted with the Window Between Worlds and how you started using art at A Greater Hope.
Yeah, for sure. Hi, everyone. I first became acquainted with the Windows Between World about 2 years ago. I was actually inspired by one of my colleagues that's also part of this. Her name is DLN. So she really inspired me with her passion of the art and how she utilized it with our families at A Greater Hope. And she invited me to do a community art mural with our kinship caregivers. So after that, I wanted to sign up for the training right away. I felt that it was incredibly important for our kinship families to have a dedicated space where they could feel the support and the connection with one another. I was grateful for that because the Greater Hope was offered a sponsorship opportunity for the staff to participate in it, and I automatically signed up for that. So that's how I became acquainted with it.
Love it, love it. And so you got acquainted, you came to our training. First of all, how was your training experience? How did you enjoy that?
Oh, it was great. I feel like I learned so much within the 2 day training. I got a lot of tools and resources, and I feel like it was really helpful, especially with the Window Between Worlds website, where it broke down a lot of our activities, a lot of things that helped kind of create these things, whether it be for youth, whether it be for caregivers, whether it be uh, as a family, as a community. I feel like it provides a lot of that um, opportunities to be able to connect with what the interest is or what activities are to be able to create them for the art events.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And as you were coming to the training and you kind of as you were experiencing that, what were some of the things that you were keeping in mind as you were attending? Like maybe some of the challenges that you were seeing, some of the things that you wanted to enhance at A Greater Hope, and like maybe some of your intentions around coming to the training and what you were kind of hoping to bring back to your work.
Yeah, so to be honest with you, my main focus a lot was on the caregivers. So kinship caregivers, there's two different forms of kinship caregivers. So there's uh, some families that are considered formal. So that's where kinship caregivers they become resource families. They get connected to children and family services, so they have like opportunities to be connected with various resources. And there's also informal kinship caregivers. So those are families that have no involvement with children and family services. Sometimes they don't even have guardianship through their own process, which that limits a lot of access to certain resources in the community. So this program, and I'm really grateful to be part of this program, and part of wanting to incorporate art. My intention was to really focus on like how can I support the caregivers, especially with a lot of stressors that they have to deal with. It's a lot that they have to go through. So whether it's like the stressors of whether they're paying for utility assistance or how they're gonna get diapers or wipes, like it's just a lot of things that they have to deal with on a daily basis. So when I came in, I really wanted to like focus on self-care. So when I started that, I did like the first one, which I remember, I think it was like the ripples of self-care from what I remember. And I did that was like the first art workshop that I did by my own. And I didn't really have anybody show up for that one. So I felt like it took me a moment to kind of like pause and reflect, like, well, what's really something that could be beneficial for those families and how can I support that? So I feel like with that, it did kind of help me just kind of see a different perspective and like kind of focus on what's something that these families will be open to, especially attending with regarding the art workshops.
Yeah, that's true. And then, I know that we've connected personally, Ilyana, and I
Mm-hmm.
resonate with this work. And this is the reason why I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be in this conversation because I was definitely a kinship parent. I adopted my younger brother and sister. And I know that I've used art with them personally to kind of help guide them through all the transitions that this whole process happened. It happened years ago, but
Yeah.
um, can you tell me a little bit about once you brought the art to folks, and you mentioned that it did take a little bit of time. Some folks didn't, attend at the beginning, but as folks started to really kind of embrace the art, what were some of the things that kind of really resonated with you? I know that you mentioned some workshops, but how was the response to the art after it kind of got embedded into the work that you did?
Yeah, I feel like the connection. I know Brian and Kenya, what they shared earlier, especially with the art regarding family, is that connection. Like I mentioned, the families go through a lot. They are experiencing a lot on a daily basis. So being able to incorporate art and providing them that space to be together, it's a form of communication, and a form of connection, and a form of them to be able to have that sense of belonging, and be able to also connect with additional kinship caregivers as well, to let them know that they're not alone during these moments when they're not experiencing the things themselves. So I feel like that was something that was very powerful as we started navigating like what would be helpful with it. So even now we're starting to incorporate a lot of we're getting the process of doing kinship coffee connections.
Nice.
So even with those, we're now incorporating. Okay, let's focus on as well with art. So even if we're just having communication with caregivers, uh, being able to have a form of art for like the kiddos that come to the events, or even caregivers being able to participate in the art, it's a different form of connection rather than just talking. And it helps create that unity in the family, and then also the caregivers within each other and building that community together too.
It's really about like meeting them where they're at, right? And of course, if you have
Exactly.
food, that's even better, like the coffee connection and,
Yeah.
bringing some snacks and kind of bringing them in. Because I think, especially with my live experience, we try to incorporate a lot of our workshops at the shelter that I used to work at with, maybe it's before snack time or maybe it's actually during snack time when we start introducing some of those art
Yes.
workshops and things like that. And I'm so glad that you were able to really meet them where they're at. And
Yeah.
I know that you mentioned a few workshops, but what are some of the other workshops that kind of came forward, or what are some of your favorite workshops to use in this setting?
Yes. One of my favorite ones that I really enjoyed doing was the mantra bracelets.
Oh yes, yeah.
That one was one of my favorite ones. We actually that one, our intention was to focus again on like the caregivers, and the self care and what are things that they could tell themselves on a daily basis, especially with their life stressors. And a few of them that came, some of the kids in their care, so that their grandchildren were actually on break from school. So they actually came, and during that time, we just kind of shifted, like although we did the mantra bracelets, we shifted that opportunity for the kids to also connect with the caregivers. So the caregivers were able to encourage that. They made bracelets for the kids made bracelets for the caregivers, and I feel like that was a form, um, like I mentioned, like, the community together, especially in the household. So it turned out really, really lovely. But I feel like that's kind of one that I always go to because it just reminds me of like to be flexible, especially with art. Because I feel like when I started the training, I'm like, okay, I have to like remind myself to have this, to do this, to print out the worksheet. Like I just felt like I was so focused on that instead of just pausing, kind of like you mentioned, like meeting them where they're at, and kind of reflecting on that. So I feel like that one like was the first one that kind of reminded me of just being flexible with it and meeting them where they're at, and enjoying the process of it, the
Yes.
process of art. Yeah, so it was a really nice event, and that's something that always like sticks with me.
That's good. Yeah, thank you so much for reminding me about that, the flexibility and the patience. And that's actually what leads into my next question is literally about, if you were going to offer any advice or tips to anyone who's, thinking about bringing art into their community, what are some other additional things that any advice that you would give to them for that as well?
Yeah, I would definitely say be flexible. Allow yourself to just be human with it. You don't need a big, perfectly planned workshop for art to make an impact. Kind of like what Brian and Kenya also mentioned. Using art is a form of connection and healing and the hope of it. And I feel like that comes with being able to be flexible and adapting to the families or individuals that you serve. And I feel like that's something that supported me, especially with this ongoing collaboration with the Windows Between World, and just becoming flexible. I feel like that helps a lot with the importance of healing, especially with kinship caregivers in the family unit.
Thank you so much. And definitely such a great, experience to kind of hear about your process. And I'd love it to open it up to anyone else that may have a question about a follow-up question about what Kina shared, or any questions for, sorry, not Kina, but Ilyana, anything about what Ilyana shared, and maybe dive deeper into things. So feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question.
I will comment more than ask a question. I One of the activities that I facilitated, this was at the Family Resource Center. It was, welcoming any type of family to the center, and I facilitated a workshop that was the Shield. I
Yes.
don't remember exactly the name. You can tell me, Rudy,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but I adapted it in a way that it was like, okay, so now we're going to be identifying things that, like, let's find a color, right? But let's find an animal. Let's find. So I added things that represented sort of sources of strength, and sort of the families work together to define what makes them them. And it was beautiful because there were fathers, mothers, kids, all ages, and you could see that for some of the kids, it was the first time that they saw their father, especially,
Yeah.
grab a color, a paint, a marker, anything. It was like, it was just how kids looked at their fathers. And it was beautiful that there was a couple with a baby, and they were first time parents, right? And the baby was like 2 months, 1 month old, very young. And I approached them, right? And I said, okay, let's see, could you share your story? Because they were done before anybody else because they didn't have to argue with the kids. and I approached and I sat to talk with them a little. And it was just so beautiful to see how the scare and
Mm,
anxiety that they were feeling, because it's your first kid, you don't know what's gonna happen, was completely transformed by the art, and that shield was actually promises that they were making for their family. It was just beautiful. So it it just that's how they cook it, right? And I that's what I love about art because you take and you make it work in the way that it will work for you. So that's a beautiful.
And again, it's so great to see you. We haven't seen each other in a while. But it's so great to be.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, you just hit the nail on the head. It's literally about giving that special window of time, that gift for folks who are going through big transitions, right? And even just as you mentioned, like it was the first time that they saw their father kind of do this, and it is probably for the first time in a long time when we experience folks and when we kind of hear about their experiences during the training. This is probably the first time since maybe kindergarten or elementary school that they've ever approached art in this way, if any time, you know. So it really is about those gentle invitations to really just kind of have that special moment too. So Susie, thank you so much for highlighting that. It's so wonderful.
Thank you. And thank you for creating these spaces. It's renovating. Art gives me life. That's what I put.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Thank you. Any other thoughts, questions for Ilyana?
Hi, Rudy. I wanted to share some of my daughter's artwork.
Yes. Oh, so great. Love that.
That's so beautiful.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's wonderful. Any other questions, feedback?
Hi, my name is Jessica Braganza. I'm a therapist in Los Angeles, so I'm with Kaiser Permanente Watts Counseling and Learning Center, and we just started a support group for caregivers. So Kinship caregivers, many of them are grandparents who are parenting for the second time around, relatives who are caring for family members, and this is a new group that we're starting, but I'm just very inspired to hear and be part of this breakout room because once we started this group, it was incredible to see how the caregivers really connected with each other. I think there was a sense of, man, I felt like I was the only one going through this. And everyone really just loved having the space to connect, network with each other, share resources. So we've been kind of thinking about different things we can incorporate to the support group. And that's what brought me here, thinking about how we can even incorporate art to support caregivers who are experiencing the burnout, the stress, or even the time that they're there. This is that one time that they get to be in a creative space. So I've just been jotting notes down about the mantra bracelets and different workshops that might actually be, something that could be supportive and transformative for the caregivers. So I just want any other suggestions on things that maybe you have found have resonated with the caregivers you worked with. Was there a particular activity or workshop that really, I mean, it seems like a lot of art can be transformative, but any particular ones you would recommend? Just absorbing like a sponge here.
Love that.
Yeah, well, thank you, Jessica. That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like with what has been working with has been a lot of just creating a lot of that reflective art, and especially like I mentioned, the mantra bracelets. Even earlier this year, we did like the beginning, like a vision board type activity as well, to kind of incorporate a lot of like what are their goals, so what are their goals for the future, especially back to school. We did for the kids, we did a little fun keychain like for their backpacks. So then that way they'd be able to make a little positive affirmations or cute little bracelets. So then that way they could also have it attached to their backpacks while they go back to school. And that's a form of just being able to connect with the caregivers as well. Like, hey, what resources are needed? Like to check in, what support is needed at this time. And doing that brings in a lot of conversation. So even like I mentioned, how we just started the coffee connections, the one that we did, we had Windows Between World, which was, I forgot the name of it, but it was like a feelings one. But it had different emotions and the kids were able to color it. And even during that process, one of the kids, which he's 3, he was able to color it, and then the caregiver saw it, and she was able to talk to myself and our parent partner about what they're going through and like their experiences. So with that, it even helped us navigate like what resources we could connect her with during that process. So I feel uh, like I mentioned, like a Windows Between World has amazing like resources. Like you go in there and if you type like anxiety or support, it pops up a lot of like what art workshops are available and be able to kind of connect it to what would be helpful, especially for the kinship families. And I feel like that's something that I've learned throughout this time, and I feel like it's been something that's been like really helpful, especially getting the feedback from our caregivers too. So like when we do an art workshop, like they're able to complete like feedback, like what was helpful, what was not, what would they like to see in the future. So then that way it kind of helps us navigate what other activities or art workshops we could do too.
I love that idea of like surveying them and kind of seeing what they love to kind of bring for the future. It really brings their voice and that ownership in, which is wonderful. And I wanted to point out lots of wonderful things coming into the chat from Amanda. Amanda, thank you so much for bringing in music. Yeah, I love a good dance party. I love a good embodied movement. It really helps kind of not only kind of get the kind of energy out a little bit, especially if you have younger ones who are kind of like itching to move their body, but it really kind of helps get some familiarity into the room. A lot of the families love music and incorporate music into their lives. So that's a wonderful way to kind of incorporate that. The workshop that I adapted for this toolkit is called Our Time. And in the workshop, there's a warm up that invites folks to kind of move their body and also kind of move their arms like a shape of a clock, which is kind of cool. But also that is aimed for any families that are kind of wanting to enhance their time together. So whether it be monitored visitations, things like that, but it really gives them a tangible tool for them to use to kind of help guide them for those visitations and also guide future visitations as well. Something they can carry, bring to the room, bring to wherever they're kind of meeting and kind of help that. And of course, music is always a wonderful way to kind of get that energy up as well too. So Amanda, thank you so much for bringing that forward. That's great. In these last couple of minutes that we have in this breakout room, I'd love to invite a little bit of a chat fall if we want to get into the chat and really kind of reflecting on some of the things that you might be taking away from today. Maybe it could be another another question if you'd like to answer, but I'd love to get our voices into the room and share a little bit about what are maybe one or two things that you're taking away from our conversation today. It could be workshop ideas, it could be inspiration, it could be anything. So, and feel free, you can also unmute yourself and share in that way as well.
I connected with Ilyana's experience of not having anybody in the room, like nobody coming to a workshop.
Yeah.
And it is like, it's so frustrated, it's so disappointing, but at the same time, once the word starts going around, it's so much easier, right? So it's just to sit with the discomfort and just, continuing. It's a good thing. That's all.
Too. And I definitely have felt that before too, like no show, but I also kind of helped reframe kind of my thinking as well of like thinking, oh, these folks are taking agency to skip out on my workshop, something that they may not have gotten to do in a long time. So it really is about, oh, they're actually, taking me up on the invitation, right? And you can take it or you can leave it. That was a success for me. So that reframing really helps. And yes, you're going to get them one way or the other. They're going to be really interested in the workshop. Might just take a little bit more time as well too. So that's really great. Thank you, Susie. Some folks are, Mel said, excited to create programs for our participants and share some exercises with coworkers. Yes, share it with your coworkers. It's a wonderful way to really just help folks understand what are you doing in those art workshops? What's happening behind those doors? It's a wonderful first step. Do it in staff meetings.